Hello, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. In my last video, I shared my sheet load of cards for September 2022, and today I'm going to show you how I made the box that I put them in. This box will hold mini Slimline cards, and the measurements of it are 4 inches wide, 2 inches deep, and 6 3/4 inches high. Now to make the box, I'm going to be using 110-pound cardstock for the box bottom and the box top. And for the middle of the box, the acetate portion, I'll be using this craft plastic. It is very thick, a construction weight acetate, but I find that it's very sturdy and works perfectly for this box. For the bottom of the box, you're going to need a piece of heavyweight cardstock measuring 8.5 inches by 6.5 inches. And for the top of the box, you'll need a piece of heavyweight cardstock measuring 5 inches by 3 inches. I'm just using my scrap. Take your piece that we cut for the box bottom, which is the one that's 8.5 by 6.5, and score it at 2 1/4 inches on each side. Next, take the piece that we cut for the top, which is 5 inches by 3 inches, and score it at 1/2 inch on each side. Take your box bottom piece, and we're going to cut straight up the scores on each of the long sides, just to the first score mark. Just going to cut straight up like this and stopping at that score. Do the same for this one. Turn it around, cut up this one, so this is what your piece should look like right now. And next, we're just going to remove that score line, just angle in a little bit, taking out some of that bulk right there. And we'll also do the same right here. This is just going to create our tab. We don't want to angle in on this wide piece, just on these square pieces at the ends. I find it's easier to flip my piece when I'm making this particular cut. So your piece should now look like this. We're going to set that aside and do the same thing to our box top. Next, you're going to want to take your bone folder and you're going to want to reinforce all of those scores. To assemble, simply place glue. It can be a dry adhesive if you prefer. I use art glitter glue for my construction. Place glue on the tab and just fold it over. Press it down. I like to go over it with my bone folder. Just really get it pressed down. And do that on each of the tabs. Making sure that your corners are lining up nice and square. These last two, I find it easiest to do them at the same time. Now you'll notice that these tabs overlap just a little bit, and if you would rather, you could trim them down just a little so that they don't do that. I left mine like that because I feel like it provides more stability to the box bottom, and this will be covered anyway, so it won't be noticeable. So that's our box bottom. Now we're going to glue our box top in the exact same way. We're going to set these pieces aside and work on the center of our box using our acetate. Now, because acetate is so highly reflective and I have a lot of lights happening in my studio right now for filming, I'm going to demonstrate this portion of the video on just regular cardstock instead of acetate, but you'll want to use your acetate for this step. Now the measurements that I'm going to give you for scoring are going to sound very intimidating because they are mostly in 1/16 of an inch. And I don't know about your scoreboard, but mine is in 1/8 of an inch increments. So I've come up with a little trick to make this very, very easy. So don't cringe at those numbers because this is going to be super simple. So we want our first score to be at 1 15/16 of an inch. And to make this easy, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line up the left side of my cardstock between the 0 and the 1/8 inch mark. So right in the center of those. And I'm going to score at 2. Now you'll be scoring acetate, and so you're going to want to go over that score several times and really apply a lot of pressure. I find that using a scoring tool with a metal tip works best for this, but just really make sure that you go over that several times. It's almost going to feel like you are going through your acetate, but if you're using a thick acetate like I do, that's not going to happen. So just make sure that you've got a good score because we're going to move our paper, so you're going to, you won't have another chance to go back over that. So for this next step, we are going to move this score line that we just made at 2 in between the 2 and the 2 1/8 inch marks. And we're going to score at 6. Next, we're going to move our paper again between lining this score mark that we made up at 6 between the 6 and the 6 1/8. So essentially we're just moving 1/16 of an inch each time. And now we're going to score at 8 inches. Oops. We're going to move it one more time, 1/16 of an inch, so that last score mark that we made will be between the 8 and the 8 1/8 inch mark. And we are going to score at 12. So what we end up with are score marks at 1 15/16, 5 7/8, 7 13/16, and 11 3/4. But I think that little trick just makes it super simple, and we don't need to confuse ourselves with all those other numbers. Next, we're going to fold on each of our score lines. Now, typically, when I score, I fold into the bump of the score. But I find that working with the acetate that it's much easier to fold into the indentation of the score. So that is what we're going to do. And I also find it works much better to just kind of like pinch along the score, then hold this portion down, starting in the center with your bone folder, just kind of go up and down. And you'll be surprised at how easily it finds the score if you've trained it just a little bit by pinching first. So go ahead and do that on all of your score marks. Now, I don't know how well you can see this, but some of my creases are very tight. And so if you have that issue, what I like to do is open this back up a little bit. Just take my bone folder and kind of like press that down to flatten it out, and that will help with that problem. This one's a little tight too, so I'm going to do the same thing. You don't have to flatten it all the way down. Just kind of go over it a little bit. Manipulate it until it looks like you want it to. This is definitely a little fiddly to work with, but it's worth it for the end result. So when you're happy with the way that's folding, we're going to take some double-sided tape and just put it right along this smallest portion. And I will demonstrate that on my cardstock so that you can see what I'm doing. I like to use 1/4-inch Scor-Tape for this part. Just going to want to run it right along. Burnish that down with your bone folder before you take off the backing. Makes taking off the backing a lot easier. Remove your backing. Then you're just going to want to line these up to attach. To start at the top end. Just kind of pinch it there and get my bottom end aligned. If you still have some corners that are kind of sharp, you can work those out just by pressing down on them. Now it's time to assemble our box. We take our box bottom, and we simply insert our acetate middle into it. Should be a nice snug fit. If you want to secure that with some adhesive, feel free to do so. And then our top slides right over the top, and again, a nice snug fit. And that's it. Now, you'll probably want to decorate yours. You can do it any way you want to. Obviously, I did mine to coordinate with these cards, and whatever I decide to put in here, I will, decorate in a similar fashion. But I just think this is a fun way to show off your cute cards and just makes a really nice presentation. I hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Also, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I upload a video. Until then, bye!